learned from Pax East this year is I'm gonna pull a Murtaugh and say I'm too old for that shit. I can't do 3 days anymore.
Oh, yeah?
Bro, 3 days of walking 8 hours a day, like 2 days of walking 8 hours a day is enough for my old ass. Enough for my old ass to be like literally all I did on Saturday was just go buy the crap that I wanted to buy that I knew they would have, you know, like limited amounts per day. Bought it and then went home. That was it.
Oh man.
Which the game I'm gonna review today was one of those things that I bought that like it was funny as hell because, and I'll say this again, like I literally went to a booth where they had a game that I wanted to get that's a kind of harder game to find.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there in line to pay. The guy's having some issue, and I like the game that I'm gonna review today. Their booth was like right across the hall. Or the aisle, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I do one of these and look over, and I'm like, does that dude have like 6 copies of Root sitting there? And I'm like, I think that is Root. I literally turn around to one of the workers there from the booth that she was like dressed up in cosplay. I'm like, can you hold this for me for like 2 seconds because I just need to go grab something real quick. She's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. I literally walked over, grabbed the game. I'm like, I'm gonna buy this right now.
So technically, people can listen now, but I haven't set the video yet. So.
Oh, okay, okay.
I literally walked over, bought the game, walked back, grabbed the game back from the girl, and I'm like, all right, I'll buy this one now.
Whoa, what the fuck? We Dare debut trailer. What the fuck is this?
You haven't seen it?
No.
We Dare what?
It's so
We Dare game trailer. It's like some guy, it looks like he's, I don't know, being touched, inappropriate. And some girl, it's like some stripper, it's like bending over in front of him, and he's like,
welcome to Geek Inappropriate.
What the fuck?
Something like that.
You don't get the show.
Hold on, let me look at this crap.
For the Obsolete Gamer Show.
And this coming up for the Wii? What the fuck?
It's the Obsolete Gamer Show.
This is 2011, so this might have come out. What the fuck?
Oh yeah, 2011.
Yeah, it's been out. That's the craziest part.
What
oh
the
my
fuck?
god. Oh my.
That's gotta be fake. There's no fucking way Nintendo would have let that shit come out.
Oh, you'd be surprised what they'd allow.
There's many dislikes. Maybe because it wasn't released.
Maybe because it looks crappy.
What the fuck?
Alright, you guys ready to do this?
Hold on.
That game looks
What
awesome.
the hell? There is no way that's a legit game.
No, it is, because I've seen it. Look, I wasn't sure, so I was like, let me go check it out, see if it's real or not. Yeah, it's real.
Are you shitting me?
Enter parental code. What the fuck? 6969.
I don't know. That's
By the way, you realize that you all can stream this to your own thing if you're viewing desktop, but it depends on how you want it to look on your end.
Yeah. Reformatted computer.
Yeah, well, I know with yours, yes, you can't do that. Because
one of the comments, can't wait to play this with Mike. Oh my god.
I was telling Jose Iggy, I was like, I picked up an M.2 drive to put into my machine because like Micro Center up here in Boston had a hell of a sale. They had a 1 terabyte M.2 drive for less than $100.
Okay, pretty good.
And I was like, damn, that's a good price for a freaking M.2 SSD. Yo, to get that thing installed in my computer, like I've hooked up hard drives to machines, no problem. Takes you 2 minutes, format,
that's it.
Bro, to get that stupid thing to go, I literally had to hook it up onto my motherboard.
Yeah.
Disconnect my old hard drives, boot into my BIOS, okay?
And into the mode.
We'll go in, turn off the CSM mode, which is what looks like for the old drives, okay?
Yeah.
Had to create a stupid UEFI installer for Windows on a freaking thumb drive. Boot into this, install Windows on the M.2 drive. Reboot, go back into my BIOS, turn on the CSM mode, freaking blow away the secure boot keys.
No, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Boot into Windows now on the M.2 drive, finish the installation, shut the machine down, go into my BIOS again, turn on or recreate the secure boot keys, shut the thing down, or plug in my old drives and then boot it to Windows, and it finally worked. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, whatever happened to just plugging in and boop, you're done? It's like,
well,
God.
That's why I hate those drives, and also I do that shit at work all the time. But imagine doing it with an old man that doesn't know anything about computers, and he just bought the thing, and he just thinks that he just can plug it in, and it works.
Granted, I will say having my Windows boot from 22 seconds down to 4 is nice.
Oh no, yeah.
Of course, I'm gonna get spoiled now.
All right, y'all ready?
Yeah, already.
Yep.
It's been a while since I quarterbacked this bitch.
Better you than me.
Alright, here we go. Alright, welcome to the first episode of O.G.T.V. I am Jayla Rock, and I'm here with Ignacio and Randy. What's up, fellas? What's up? Man.
Hi.
This is the first time we've had all three of us, the main pimps of Obsolete Gamer, on at once, so I have no idea how this is gonna go. It's gonna be crazy.
Yo, this is gonna be something.
It's gonna be something. The Obsolete Gamer show is powered by the Obsolete Gamer Network. You can find us all over the place, from Twitch to YouTube. We're all over every podcast platform, from Android to Apple, including Spotify. So go look for us, and of course our website, ObsoleteGamer.com. But for people who know about us or a little bit new to us, let me just give you a brief explanation of what this show is, okay? So, we've been around for about 10 years now, and we've had all types of different shows. We've had shows that are just about pro gaming. We've had shows that are just about interviews. We have shows that are about, you know, the sexy side of gaming, things like that. But now, with Twitch and streaming, we're bringing it all together into just one show, so you can get all the best in one place, and it makes it easier for us, because quite frankly, we're too busy to be doing like a million shows. That sounds about right, wouldn't you say, guys?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Especially when we have weekends with all types of stuff going on and we can't record stuff. But
my thing was to sit there and say, like, all right, we're gonna do a half-hour show for each show, and then each show ends up being an hour and a half long.
Exactly. Which I admit, a lot of that's my fault, because I keep thinking it'll be a half hour, and the next thing you know, it's an hour and a half, and we're like, okay, we got 3 more shows. It's like, oh my god.
I mean, it was nice because you could split off all the segments into, like, you know, a bunch of stuff to last us for like 3 weeks.
That's true. They're like, wait a minute, wasn't that from like 4 weeks ago? I'd be like, shh, quiet.
Like different clothes.
Yeah, right. we just do a switch every segment. We change our shirts.
Wardrobe change.
All right, so I know. Basically, how we're going to break it down is, like, we're kind of call out the segments based on what the shows that they would have been associated with last time. So Geek Salad, that's kind of like where we talk about news, gaming, reviews, and stuff like that. So I know Randy was just up at PAX East, man. How was that, man? Because it was funny what you was telling us about the differences between back in the day and now.
Oh, so, like, PAX is amazing, as it is every year. What's really, really nice, I have to give a huge, like, positive to PAX, that they added a 4th day to PAX. So the first time I went, it was just 3 days. So it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it was like, you went there Friday, and you could tell from between all the people that flew into Boston to come to PAX, as well as all the people that were like, I ain't going to work today, and we're going to PAX. It was just insanity from day one. And now that they're doing it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like, Thursday's such a great day to go, because you go and there's people there, but not so many people that if you like, oh, I want to go demo a game, like, yeah, you'll still wait the 45 minutes to an hour in line, but it's not, they won't usually have the lines capped off like they do on the other days. So, in going, this was my 2nd year in a row that I went, like 3rd time overall. I developed a strategy where day one, you just go in there and literally go in between each of the aisles, just walking up and down just to see everything. Get your game plan of like, okay, this is what we'll want to do tomorrow, like as soon as we come in, and you just go and do that. With me, I spend most of the time going into the indie booths as well as like the board gaming booths out there to like check out what they have. But in what I sat there and I told you was, last year I did Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This year I did Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What's funny is my buddy who came and hung out with us. He was like, he only did Thursday, Friday, because he was also coming with his son. And he was like, yeah, it's costing me double because I have to get for me and for my son. So he's like, we'll see about Saturday. I went on Saturday, and I kid you not, I literally was just there for probably 2 to 3 hours just to go and buy the stuff that I wanted to buy that I knew they only had certain quantities of stuff per day. And then I was just so tired. I was like literally sitting there, and I'm like texting my wife. I'm like, look, I'm ready to like come back and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, just come home because you aren't going to do anything else. I said, yeah, I demoed a couple of games that I wanted to play, and I bought the stuff I wanted to buy, and I'm heading home. And I'm like, look, I'm sorry, but for next year, I'm pulling out the Murtaugh card. I'm like, I'm too old for this shit. I'm only doing 2 days. Because it's a lot of walking. Like, it's 8 hours, from 10 a.m. to 6, you're walking. And on top of that, this year, I made the mistake. So last year when I went, I probably showed up to the Boston Convention Center, I want to say 9:15, 9:30. It was probably like more 9:30. So I only had to wait about half an hour before we went to the convention floor. But the thing is that by the time me and my friend got to the convention floor, it was already flooded with people. This year, for whatever reason, I think I got like a tweet or in an email. They said like, oh, hey, like we started letting people in at 8 a.m. And I'm like, I don't remember if at 8 a.m., like I don't remember getting up that early to go to it last year and this and that. So I said, I told my friend, like, look, they opened the doors at 8, so, like, let's try and get out. So we got up super early Thursday. We got out to the convention center by 9 a.m. And then it was funny because I think when we were on our way traveling there, or no, actually, we got there, I want to say, like, 8:45. And as we're walking in, right before, like literally we get into the convention center, we're on the train going in, I get the tweet from Thing. It's like, oh, PAX East officially starts in 2 hours. This is at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, hold on a second. Like, I thought it opened up at 8. We didn't realize, like, yes, they opened the doors to get into the convention center at 8. They didn't open the doors to the floor till 10 a.m.
So you're just standing out there?
So this year, at least, they did it better. Last year, they had people waiting outside, and it was funny because last year was way colder than it was this year. So we were outside at 9:30. It probably was like a 15-minute wait once they started letting the line in, but it was cold. It was windy. So, like, we're standing out there freezing our asses off. And what was even worse, where I felt even worse, is there were people dressed up in cosplay that they weren't wearing any coats or anything like that. They were standing out in the cold, and you're talking 20-some-odd degree weather with wind. There was this girl, this poor girl, I swear to God, I was like, that girl's going to die. This skinny girl wearing a cosplay from an anime. So you can imagine there was not much clothing there. Standing out in that weather, and that girl was just like this. Like, just barely moved. She looked like a damn penguin when she would move because she was just like bunches of. I'm like, that poor girl's probably going to get so damn sick going.
Oh, no, yeah.
I bet there are a lot of creepy guys who are more than willing to help keep her warm.
Oh, no, yeah. That's for damn sure. But, yeah, let's just say the thirst is real in that line. Let me tell you. But it was funny because, like, this year what they did is they did it really, really smart. So they sectioned off a piece of the actual the stupid area where they had all the games and stuff, that they started the line there. And then it basically spilled out into the hallway that led up to that area. And then they had like 3 rows. And then, so like literally they had a ton of space before they even had to push the line outside. So that was even better. But like we got there and we got in line at 9 o'clock and it's like, oh, cool. We're like the second row in. We're on the showroom floor. And we're like, cool. And I look up and watch and I'm like, oh, great. We only got to stand for an hour before we get to go in. And when I tell you, like, they do all that they can to keep everybody entertained for this hour. They started the craziness that was inflating beach balls and just started throwing it around in the crowd. And the longer that time went by, the more beach balls showed up, and it just turned into mass hysteria of these beach. Like, you had to be careful not to look down, or you were going to get pelted with a beach ball. It's so funny. But it was really cool. Once we got out onto the floor, we started going around. What was funny is I set up a timer or in the PAX app, I set a thing for the what the hell is these people, for the Borderlands basically main hall to go in and see it, and it was at 11 o'clock, I believe, is when they showed it. At 11:30, I look at my watch and go, oh, hey, so it's 11:30 and my alarm never went off, so we pretty much missed the the hall, which is hilarious because right away they put it up on YouTube and I was watching it while we were going around the floor, and I just turned to my friend and I'm like, you know what, I saved us an hour of nothing really major that we missed, which is funny. But that was like one of the hugest announcements there was when they announced Borderlands 3 and all that. Like it was cool because they actually had they were giving away masks that looked like one of the psychos.
Oh, cool.
So like you'd see a whole ton of people that were like walking around the showroom floor with that. What was interesting is Ubisoft actually had a booth that they were just selling merchandise at. And one of the things that was really cool is they had real life alpha packs. So they were like $3 a pop. It was the little black thing just like they have in the game. And you tore it open, and what they had was little kind of like keychains of all of the different characters of the game. And what was cool is they actually had regular versions and gold versions. So like just like the alpha packs. So like this is one of the dude with the shield. Hold him up. Like I got one of the gold versions of him. And then I got a gold version of IQ, which is really cool. So it looks like the little chibis that you find in the game that you can put onto the guns and stuff. And it's neat because like the actual like the key ring itself is gold, the little chain is gold, and then I got a regular version of IQ, which I realize is on my badge, which is in a box that's in this closet. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to show that off. But it's like the regular keychain is silver with a silver lining, and then the character looks like they do in the game itself. So that was like kind of cool that they did. Other than that, I'm trying to think what else. Oh, you're always. I had to buy a pack because what the hell, I needed it. Is good old G Fuel was there in full force selling their wares there.
What was the company that was giving out the energy drinks? Because there's always one of them, and it's usually not a big one either. It's like some unknown shit.
Oh yeah.
This is what was funny. So Thursday, nobody was giving out energy drinks. Friday, nobody was giving out energy drinks. Saturday morning, walking in there, boy, you had Rockstar and Monster giving out energy drinks on the way to the convention center. So that was what was funny. I was like, damn, these guys waited until Saturday, which is when you're going to have the most amount of people, and probably people that this is their third day and they're just like zombieing into the convention center. Like, it is funny, but like that's the thing that makes me laugh is like G Fuel always has like, it's not a huge booth, but they're always there. And man, they got a line a mile long. And it's funny because it's always cheaper buying it there at the convention center. So they sell the big tubs for $25, whereas online, I think they're $35 plus the shipping. So you'll see these people like just walk in and walk out like with their G Fuel, just like double armed and walking away with all their G Fuel. The surprise this year was, I will say, the two biggest booths at PAX East this year. Number one, Magic the Gathering Arena was huge to the point where they were actually having a $1 million tournament there at PAX, which they had pro Magic players as well as the Magic the Gathering Arena game. They actually had an online tournament that if you won that, you actually got invited to PAX to compete in that tournament. So that, and man, when I tell you these people had a presence on the floor, holy crap. Like it was probably a good 300 to 400 square foot area that they had.
Yeah.
Most of it was Oculus, but it was funny because the Oculus stuff is like, there was these big kind of like square rooms with like a plexiglass see-through, and they were having people play different games in the booths. So it was like hilarious because it was like watching fish in a fishing tank, just sitting there doing all these weird things with the Oculus on, you know, and you're like, oh, what are they? And this is the thing that got me. It's like, if they would have at least had a monitor, like you could see what they were playing, it would be like, oh, cool. They're playing, like literally all you saw was the person just like
that flailing is weird around. That they didn't do that. Like that's a big mistake.
Yeah. So like all you would see is freaking people just flailing their arms around. And they're like, what the hell are they playing? You know? that was a big mistake. Other than that, I'm trying to think. What was another? Like Nintendo had a big booth. Sony was there showing off Days Gone, which that was, I think, I want to say the game that probably had the longest line the entire convention, and it was really cool because they actually had like set up an area where, like they had people dressed up as zombies, like kind of like clawing through like a fence and all that, and then they had the area with the games themselves. And I just like literally instead of waiting in line to play it, I just stood behind, looked through one of the fences and watched as a guy came up and played the 15 minutes and then left. I'm like, okay, so I got an idea what the game.
So it is 15-minute limit still, huh?
Yeah, it's still 15 minutes. Yeah, like and that's the thing that it's like it's cool to go there and all that, but it's like, man, you're literally unless you get in right away and just sprint to that booth and get in there right away, like you're waiting like between 15-20 minutes to about an hour and a half to play. And it sucks, you know.
That's why I gotta go as media player.
Buddy, let me tell you, I need to find out how to freaking get the media badges because I would do that. Like seriously.
I love when we went to E3. You see the people looking because they'd be like, "Wait a minute, who is that?" And then they just walk past everybody and they just give you the evil eye, like you bastard.
You son of a. Trying to think what else was big there. So the other thing that was kind of cool, decent sized booth was the company that does Dead by Daylight. They were actually releasing Ash from Ash vs. Evil into the game as a survivor, and they had the demos that they had up that you could actually play as him. What was really, really cool, and I have to send you the photos, I actually got a picture with one of the main developers of the game. Yeah. At their booth. What was super cool is they actually had the lobby sitting there, so they had the little campfire with the little wood stumps, so you could sit down and take a picture with the developer guy there, which is really cool because it looked just like how they have it in the lobby with the little like fire with the sticks sitting there and stuff like that. Nintendo was showing off the Yoshi. They had a huge Splatoon 2 and Smash Brothers tournament, which, let me tell you, when they started getting into that Smash tournament, you could be on the opposite side of the show floor and you would still hear the roar of the crowd from the Smash tournament. Like that's how many people they had in the convention center sitting there watching this thing. Other than that, they showed off that cell phone that does the glassless 3D, which I didn't sit and do it. My buddy who works at an AT&T store, he's actually messed around with these. It's kind of cool, heavy as hell for a phone. And I said, the only thing that worries me about that, like, A, it's in a cell phone, which means B, people are going to drop it. And the moment you drop it, it's probably going to mess up the 3D in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, like, played a bunch of board game demos. Like, that's the thing that, like, PAX East has gotten me that slowly but surely since they've done PAX Unplugged, the board game area is kind of like shrinking down a bit because people that used to always go to that side for PAX East, now they're just holding off till the end of the year and going to PAX Unplugged.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of sad to see that, but I mean, there were still companies that they were pushing their games, like the game that I'll talk about later, Root. They were there basically demoing the new expansion that was on Kickstarter at the moment. And that was like kind of cool to sit down and actually play because I had heard so many good things about it, and like to sit down and play it, I was like, holy crap, now I see why people like this game so much.
Was there any like sad booth where it's like, I mean, obviously the tiny unknown developer might be sad, but was there some that was kind of big and you walked by and there was hardly anyone there and you were like, ooh?
Like not big ones, because that's the thing that's funny is like the thing about PAX East is it's always about the glitz and glamour. Like I have to give it to, so there's a board game cafe local here in Boston called Night Moves, and I've known the owner since pretty much he opened up that cafe, and we're talking several years now. And I used to go there all the time to play. Like my cousin introduced me to him, and he was like, really nice guy and this and that. Like he opened a second store, and he was there one PAX East that I went like years and years ago, and then hadn't gone back. And last year I went and he wasn't there. And then this year I was like, oh, he's actually here. That's kind of cool. And when he told me he was doing, he's like, yeah, so like I'd seen on their Facebook, he's been partnering a lot more with the really small indie board game designers and having demo nights in his cafe where people can come in and check out the games. So what he did is he actually rented a pretty decent sized booth at PAX, and he was actually having these really small indie developers come and demo their games in his booth. So he had like 5 tables, and he was doing 2-hour blocks where he would have them come show off the game, have people play it, and then leave. And I'm like, damn, that's kind of cool that like these indie small board game developers that couldn't get booth space to show off their game, like now they can. So that was like, I thought was really cool that they did that. And I was like, damn, that's really nice of him to do that. You know, I'm sure they paid him something, but nowhere near what it would have cost them to freaking get a booth at PAX East, I'm sure. But you see, like, over there, you always tend to see, like, they had, like, one booth, like, all they sold was, like, dice, like, you know, D&D dice and all these, like, you know, dice trays and carrying bags and all that stuff. Like, you literally had Wormwood there, which beautiful accessories, but who the hell is going to pay for all that stuff? Because, like, I wanted to get a nice dice tower, and they have beautiful dice towers that are made of all wood with magnets, so it magnetizes together. And I'm like, looking, I'm like, oh, the cheapest one to get a dice tower plus the tray to catch the dice is like $160.
Oh no!
Yeah. And I'm like, And then I walked around and find one made out of plastic with wood for $45 with a Cthulhu theme on it. I'm like, boop, sold.
Well,
like,
that's the thing. Like, Amazon has destroyed that. Like, I went to like Fort Lauderdale. They had like the Renaissance Fair version of it down there, and they were selling like these cloaks and, you know, hoodies and all this stuff and corsets, and it's like very well made. Like, you see it, these people put a lot of work into making them really well, but so expensive. Like, one cloak was like $150, and the problem is you saw people on their phones on the freaking Amazon app, and they're like, okay, I can get a cloak that looks just like that for $60. And you see them just leave the store, and you see the store owner just standing there staring at them, giving them the dagger eyes. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's killing.
And that's the thing. That's the thing is basically the way that Wormwood does it is like you pick what type of wood you want it made out of and stuff like that. So like, yeah, you go with a cheaper wood, and that was the $140 some odd dollar. I think it was like $140 or $120. But there were some that the sets were like $230, $240, and I'm like, look, if I played enough D&D that I had like a weekly or bi-week, you know, or twice a week game where I'd be rolling the dice that much, sure, I'd sit there and I'd pay for something like that, an accessory like that. I'm like, I'm doing it because like I play board games, I have dice every now and again. I don't need anything that expensive, you know. Like those were there. You had a booth that was literally just game mats. So like all the different card mats and stuff like that. They had like, you can get them from the regular size mat to like the full table mat. You know, like it's insane when you look at the accessories. Accessories is what you find a ton of there. You'll also find just about all the retailers, the local game stores that are here in Boston. They'll have a booth there. Like the 2 that they had here were there. They actually had one from Cool Stuff Inc., who ends up being like the biggest game store there in Florida. They were up, you know, here too, which was weird because last year they had way bigger selection of games. Like this year they had a ton of games, but there wasn't that much variety to them. So it was interesting. I was like, oh, damn, I wanted to come up here and do it, which is funny because you could actually, I remember last year, if it was a game that you could pick up at PAX East or that they had at PAX East, you could actually order it through the website and make it that you could pick it up there at PAX. So, yeah. So that was kind of cool that they did that last year. I didn't check for this year, but because it was just like when I went through day one, I was like, oh, they don't have that much variety. And I'm like, eh. I mean, they have really nice bags though, and they were giving them away. So it was like every day I'd go by, I'm like, hey, can I get a bag?
You know, you could also next year go on and get one of those scooters.
Oh yeah, that was funny as hell. But yeah, like you know, typical thing. Lots of cosplay also, like crazy. The thing that got me. So Saturday, I'm leaving, and as I'm walking out the door, there's like huge group of like cosplayers, and they're all like posing, and people are taking photos. And I realized, like, wait a minute, I'm looking at the characters. I'm like, oh, I'm like, dude, that's a group of people doing the Smash Brother characters, you know. And I'm like, I snap a photo, and I'm like, yo, they got a kid to dress up as Ness. And then I'm like, hold on a second. I zoom in on the photo, and I'm like, yo, that ain't a kid. That's a midget. Like, they had a midget dressed up as Ness, like the shirt, the cap, the baseball bat, the whole 9 yards. I was like, yo, how could they do that? I was like, what?
Dedication, man, to the craft.
Oh, dude. The other thing that was kind of cool is it's the second year that I've actually run into. They have the loading ready run guys there, so I got to meet them for second year, which is kind of cool. Other than that, like, it was just going around, and the only other like really huge booth there was the Square Enix that they're pushing the new expansion pack for Final Fantasy 14. But that was it. Everything else was just really small booths like MSI and all these people. And I'll send you the pictures, Jose. Bro, Thermal Take was there. The insanity that those people have for cases is insane. Like, pictures of them, like these huge, like full tower with liquid cooling, like in a separate compartment, like those custom liquid cooling kits, like hanging on the wall, mounted on the wall in front of your desk that you have your monitor on. They had a gaming desk that had an RGB light that went all the way around, and it was one of those like desks that you could adjust the height and make it a standing desk or a sitting desk. Yeah. I mean, I was looking at one of the cases sitting on one of the desks, and I'm like, who the hell would put that on their desk? Like, that thing is way too huge.
No, you have to mount that on the floor or something.
Yeah, no, it was ginormous. I was like, what the hell is that? But it's an amazing, and I will have to say, the most innovative thing that I saw at PAX East, and I swear to God, I looked at it and said, I don't know how nobody thought of this before. And it was a small company, it was a mother and son, that they came out with basically a round green screen that goes mounted to the back of your chair. So it sits on the chair. It has like a strap that you strap it to. And they sell in two sizes, in 54 inches or 59 inches.
Oh, wow.
And you literally, it rolls with you. And like, they had a demo, a streaming setup, you know, with it there, with one of the chairs and the thing around. And sure enough, like, you could sit in the chair and you could see it was green screened out, except for him sitting in the chair. And I'm like, why the hell has no one ever thought of this before?
No, yeah, and that's really clever.
And they were there, and that was what was cool, is the mother and son who owned the company were there at the booth and all that. And I said, let me tell you, that is the most ingenious thing that I've seen here at PAX East. And how nobody has thought of this before is unbelievable. And the mother was like, I'm the one that got the idea, and he was the one that gave me the idea because he wanted to start streaming and wanted me to make him a green screen. And it was more of a pain, and I came up with this idea. And she said she got the idea from those the things that you put in your car to keep the heat out of it. She said, fold it in half that it's round. She's like, I wonder. And she says literally her first one was she took one, she colored it green, and then stuck it to the chair, and she realized it worked. And she was like, and that's how she came up with the idea. And I'm like, that's the most ingenious thing I've ever seen. And it worked.
See, this is why I'm not rich, man. I'm not coming up with stuff like that, man. You got someone out there coming up with all stuff.
This is the thing. The problem is a lot of people have ideas. The problem is nobody follows through with the ideas. And then somebody sits there and goes like, oh, you know what? I'm going to follow through with this. And then they sell $1 million and you're like, I had that idea a while ago.
Or someone has a contact. You'd be surprised how many times someone says, well, I called up so-and-so and then he hooked me up with a distributor. And it's like, oh, well, I don't have that, so screw me.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that's that guy.
All right, but so how many times did you find yourself taking a sit-down old man break?
Oh, dude, it's every like 2 to 3 hours. It was this is the thing that I love about PAX East. In the dead center of PAX East, they have the PAX Arena, which they'll do like game tournaments and whatever, just like stream, do weird things. So, but it's always open and there's always spots to sit down. So it's like you're going by, you're like, all right, rest break. You go and sit down for 20 minutes, just watching whatever the hell they're doing, or shoot the shit on your phone or whatever. Like it's not bad. You can always find somewhere to sit. That's for sure.
Okay.
But it's definitely like as the years have gone by, it's like all right, every so often. And I will say this year I did the smart thing as opposed to last year. Last year I went day one with my old sneakers and walked around for 8 hours, and that just wrecked me for the weekend. Because I ended up going Thursday night to go get new sneakers, and then even though with new sneakers, it was still my feet were gone.
Yeah, the damage was done.
Yeah, this year I got smart. I bought new sneakers before PAX, broke them in Wednesday at work, and then went to PAX, and it was great because it was like you'd walk, your feet would be tired, you sit down for 20 minutes, and then like you're completely rested. You're like, all right, I can get up and keep walking again. But yeah, no, it's old man breaks were far
essential.
too many. Yeah, they were essential. I will tell you that, especially when you got fucking arthritis in one of your knees. It sucks. Let me tell you.
Dude, the same thing happened to me. Like, I went to Arcade Odessey here in Miami, and it's been a while since I've been there. Like, I went there, like, years ago, and I went there, like, this past, well, not this weekend, the previous weekend, and it was great. Like, going there and just seeing how many people, because I went early, too. Like, I think I went, like, a Saturday at, like, 4 or something. And there were a lot of people there. Like, there were, like, older people, younger people, you know, black, white, Hispanic. It was a good mix of people. But I found myself almost doing the old man thing where I'm, like, looking at a game. Like, I'm looking... Because they have, like, almost split up. Like, when you first walk in, they have, like, the new-looking arcade machines that from Japan. And, like, all the new games are Japanese, by the way. Like, I was looking to see, like, what would be the newest game out. No, like, the screens are beautiful. You can tell, like, I have the video ups. You guys can't see it, but anybody who's watching the stream can see it. The old screens, you can see through the camera when I was using my phone. It gives you those lines that go across it when you try to record it. The new ones don't, because they have this super HD screen. Yep. But, like, all of them are kind of those Japanese arcade fighters, you know, that looks like Last Blade and all that. Like, I didn't even know who these characters were. They were looking beautiful. That, or there's something similar to Dance Dance Revolution. That's what I've noticed about freaking Japanese arcades. It's Dance Dance Revolution or fighting games. That's it. It was just basically 2 rows of those type of games. And I'm just looking, and it's like, it looks like little kids fighting because all the characters look like they're like 9 years old, but they have like all these crazy powers. So I'm watching that. And then, like, on the left-hand side, they had a lot of the stand-up shooters. You know, they had the House of the Dead. They had this one called Carnival, which I didn't even know about, which is just really crazy. It's like this, like, evil carnival shit, and you're shooting people. You just reminded me, now that you said that, so, biggest problem that we've had is, you know, us being old-school gamers with the old light guns, is light guns not working on the new TVs. Yeah. Apparently, there's a company out there that's come out with a light gun that will work with HD TVs, and they had 2 games demoed on it, and I was like, oh, that'd be nice if that actually, you know, were to work. It'd be cool if that would be compatible with like an old Nintendo or something like that, but which probably it won't. But still, the fact that they could bring that back to like a home area with an HD TV is pretty cool. But anyways, continue. But yeah, I mean, they had like some of the big classic games that, you know, 4-player, like they had X-Men, they had Simpsons, they had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Their back wall on the right-hand side when you enter is all pinball games, and it's cool because it's a mixture of some of the older ones and then not super brand new ones, but it seems like that's what they create new ones, because they had like Deadpool, they had the new Star Wars pinball, so it's like they're at least making a new pinball machine for certain movies, so that was interesting to see. But I found myself almost being kind of like a snobbish, which kind of felt bad, because I'm like, I don't know if I really want to play Simpsons, because I have Simpsons, I have MAME, but I played because I was there with friends. But the same thing, like they had some of these old school games, Street Fighter, Pac-Man, Rampage, and it's like, you know. And what was cool is that, so how they do it is you only get 3 tokens for $1, which at first that kind of like pissed me off, right? Yeah, I was thinking like that's a ripoff. But here's the thing, they set the games to, first of all, not be super hard. Like, I don't know if you've seen it, but I've actually seen this back in the day. You can set difficulty setting on some of these, especially the fighting games. So they don't set it to super hard so you get your ass kicked in the first level. They make it so it's like they put on normal at least so you can play through. Also, most of these arcade games, you can say how many lives you start with. So, yes, you may go to another place that gives you 6 tokens for $1, but when you put in a quarter, it gives you like 2 lives. This place was giving you 5, 6 lives, per quarter. So like when I was playing Simpsons, you put in a quarter, you had like 6 lives. So that's way more than you get if you just play it normally. I think you got like 2 or maybe 3 if you put in a quarter. So it's like it's weird that you get less tokens, but most of these games now there's a few games where that ratio didn't play out, but for a lot of them it did. Another new game that they had like the Guitar Hero Live, which that's funny watching people play that live because you really realize how many people are terrible at Guitar Hero. Because they're trying to play, and the music is just like... and you're like, what song was that supposed to be? You don't know. But, I mean, they had food...
Someone tried to play freaking Through the Fire and the Flames.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, they had... And I don't know why they're picking super hard songs, either. Because you see them, and it's just flying by, and they're like... And it's not like the old... Like, I think it was the band one that they came out. That one at least would continue to play the song really low, so at least you can still hear it. Dude, Guitar Hero, at least the arcade one's ruthless. When you mess up, you don't know what's playing. Like, they just stop. So you're like, what song? Like, I'm literally sitting there wondering what song that they're playing, because that's how bad they were. But
Jesus,
I mean,
that's
hey,
ruthless.
People were enjoying themselves, and I have to say, I understand that with what you have at home with your computer, your consoles and stuff, that you're not going to really be super successful with an arcade. But, I mean, from what they tell me, that place has a steady stream of people. And, I mean, they sell... They sell, like, this awesome, like, Japanese, like, candy. Like, they have all this, like, foreign candy and stuff. And so you could go there and find all this, like, Japanese candy and stuff. And they also sell, like, beer. And they sell, like... just various drinks. They have like those bubble teas and things like that. So, and of course the owners and stuff are really nice and cool. So, it was really good to have like a little adventure at the arcade and just see that people still play. Because I know, Ignacio, you've been there. It's been a while since you've been there, right?
Yeah, but the people from work at Origin go there all the time. Especially the younger people. Like, that's just like a regular hangout for them, basically. And on top of that, the owners like. The owner of that place is pretty smart. He also got like an alcohol license, so he can sell drinks there.
Yeah.
And they told me that ever since that happened, it's like the population for that place has tripled permanently. Like, it's always, every time I drive by there, there's always people like out in the parking lot, like taking a break or something.
Yeah, most of the people that were there were definitely over 21. Like, every once in a while you would see someone bring in like a kid or something like that, but... I gotta say, everybody was cool too. Like, even the kids, they were just playing games. Like, nobody was just running around being an idiot. It wasn't like Chuck E. Cheese or something like that. It was actually halfway decent, so...
Interesting.
That was cool.
Well, also, they're smart. They do a lot of, like, gaming tournaments there. And whenever that happens, it's like... It's just packed, basically.
But it's kind of funny because... When I was playing, the X-Men versus Street Fighter, I just wanted to see, like, if I still had any skills. Spoiler alert, I don't. And I was reading this article earlier this week where it was talking about how, like, older gamers, 30 plus, are more likely to turn away from, like, competitive gaming because they feel like their skills are slowing down, or they just don't feel like, playing something that's all highly competitive. And, some people kind of push back on that, saying, no, I play Apex, I play this, I play that. But you have many other people start to admit that, hey, once they started even in their late 20s, that Twitch factor decreased a lot. So all of us are over 30. So what would you say you guys feel as far as your skills? I mean, like, I know, Ignacio, like, you're still tearing people up in World of Warplanes and stuff like that. But do you think that you've dropped any of your Twitch factor being able to, like, spot things, or is that game a little bit easier to ooze into your old age?
Whoa. The reason why he's still kicking butt in World of Warships is because there's a bunch of old farts playing that game to begin with.
Yeah.
What was I about to say?
Yeah, but even in general, I think, because, like, the other day I was playing, like, Super Nintendo shit. I don't know. I think now, like, when I was younger, I would get, like, really agitated and shit, and get, like, a really high, like, heart rate shit going, just to be able to get enough adrenaline to get, like, a bonus or something. Now I'm, like, really chill, but it's kind of like, I'm really good at shooting at stuff, and I'm better at aiming, because basically now I'm kind of like a sniper that's just holding his breath every time I shoot at something. And it's like, all right, I hit all the time. I guess that trick works, you know. But like, I don't get like, unless it's like some ranked shit where it's like, okay, we better fucking win, you know. The rest of the time, I'm kind of like a samurai. Like I'm just like, all right, oh, something blew up, but like it won't even face me. I'm kind of like in, you know, like the second Batman movie where like the bad guy starts shooting. And like everybody ducks, and like Michael Keaton's just standing there. That's me.
Yeah, you're like that guy in Saving Private Ryan, where everyone's shooting and he's standing there. He's like, "What y'all ducking for?" And he's like telling you exactly how far the bullet range is going. He's like, "Those bullets can't hit us. They have an A247, which has a 32-inch range." And you're like, and everyone else is like, "Ah!" And he's just like,
he's like Jesse Ventura from Predator and stuff. Yo, you're shot. I ain't got time to bleed, son.
like,
yeah, when I get into like a fucking killing mood, I'm like the sniper guy from Saving Private Ryan. I'm just saying a prayer and just fucking shooting people. The Lord is my savior.
Yeah, I will say for me, there are two things that I've noticed. Like I've definitely noticed my reaction time is slowed down like crazy. But the other thing that I laughed at when I realized like, holy crap, I've gotten old, was when they released the remaster of DuckTales.
Oh, man.
And I bought it because I was like, oh, man, I used to love playing that game as a kid. And I started playing it, and I'm like, dude, they amped up the difficulty on this thing. Like, this can't be that hard. And, blah, blah. And then I went and loaded up my NES Classic, or my Raspberry Pi, and started playing the original one. I'm like, oh, no, it was this hard. I was just better way back when.
It's brutal.
Dude, it is so, even on easy, it is so hard. I was like, man, I remember sitting down in a 2-hour time frame and beating DuckTales without losing a life. And it was just like, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe, like, I used to play this like nothing. Like, it's unbelievable. But lately I've been playing nothing but Apex mostly. Because, you know, hey, that's what everybody's been playing, and it's fun as hell. But I do realize I could tell the people that either are brand new at playing it or they're just as old as me, because we'll get into a crazy gunfight and I'll rip them to shreds. The moment I get anybody with any bit of skill, I'm dead.
Yeah, you can see, like, I watch people play, and you just see them, like, the gun's like this.
Oh,
and
dude.
then you're standing there, you're like, pop, pop. Then the other guy, he's like 50 miles away, and he goes, pop, pop, and you're dead. You're like,
yeah.
Okay.
No, I will say this. The best game of Apex I had was last night. I had 7 kills. We didn't win. This is the sad part. I was running around with a Spitfire with a level 3 mag in it. So I had 60 rounds. So, dude, I'd round the corner. There'd be somebody there. And I'm just like, ta, 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 ta. They'd shoot at me with whatever they have, run out of ammo. They turn around to run away. And I'm just chasing behind them. Ta, 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 ta. Dude, with 60 shots. It was like, even if I potatoed some, I was cutting people left and right with that gun. They round the corner. I'm going to kill them. Ta, 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 ta. They couldn't get away. It was the best thing ever.
Oh, man.
See, I lost the whole turnaround, quick, locate, aim. You know, it's like, if I have some time, I can still get you. But if it's one of those things where it's like, especially when everyone jumps, like, I really wish they'd make a game where after the second time you press jump, your character would get tired and just stand there and, like, lean over. Because it's like, I'd really like to see in the future, like, they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to go fight in a war somewhere, and everyone's just jump. You'll be okay. And you see soldiers in real life just bouncing around. They're like, you can't hit me. You can't hit me. I hate the fact that works in freaking shooting games.
It's so bad in Apex. Like, that is the thing to do. You get into a close fight, especially if you're fighting against somebody and both of you guys have peacekeepers. It's what they call the peacekeeper dance. It's literally straightening left and right, jumping, straightening left, jumping. Like, it's to the point you're better off just pulling out your other gun and shooting at them. Because, dude, it is insane. Just the peacekeeper dance. Oh,
it's
God.
Also time, because that's another thing. It's like, with the whole thing with Twitch, I've been watching some of these streamers where, you know, you'll see a streamer say, all right, I'm going to play Apex, I'm going to play this, I'm going to play that. Then there's the guy that's like, I'm playing Apex, that's it. And you just see day after day, week after week, 3 to 6 hour streams, Apex, and I'm like, I'm not playing it that much. So I'm like, guess what? Even if I played it that much, I wouldn't be good. But the fact that I'm not playing it that much, forget about it. It's like,
yeah, no, that game's insane though.
Oh yeah, I know that you had you were gonna tell us about.
Yes, so this was a game that I had heard about.
Yeah.
So one of the games, the same developer from a game called Vast into Crystal Caverns. So what made that game interesting is the theme of the game was it was a group of heroes going into a cave to get a treasure, that the cave was inhabited by monsters and a dragon. And it's a 4-player game. You can play up to 4 players. And what made that game interesting is it was asymmetrical. So one player played as the heroes going into the cave. One player played as the monsters inside the cave. One person played as the dragon that's in the cave. And then the 4th player played as the cave. So the person that played as the cave basically laid out how the cave was. It was interesting because then there was these rumors that, oh, he's developing a whole new game. And the game that he actually developed was a game called Root. So Root, like really cool artwork and stuff like that. You can put it up closer to the camera and stuff like that. What's interesting is it's basically a game that you have a kingdom that's run by these different factions. So there's 4 factions that come in the box. What made the game interesting is that the factions that it has are actual like animals. So like the cards and stuff like that are like little cutesy, artsy, fartsy little type of things. But you have four factions in it. There's the cat, the Marquita cat, as they call them. I forgot what they call the Blue Jays. They have mice that are basically like a resistance, and then you have a raccoon that's the Vagabond. And each one plays differently, which is interesting. So like the cats, they initially set up that they're literally across the entire board. The birds were the Blue Jays were the faction that used to rule the kingdom, but then got kicked out by the cats. So you're trying to get the kingdom back. The resistance basically initially doesn't start on the board, but then they start putting out these like sympathy tokens, and that's how you actually spread across. Is you start spreading sympathy, and then you can revolt, and then that's how you get your characters out onto the board. And then the Vagabond basically can move around. He's only like one little character, but you can go and you can help out the other factions and start gaining an alliance with them. And the way that the Vagabond wins is he doesn't win by himself. He basically can alliance himself with one of the other factions, and then if that faction wins, the Vagabond also wins. So it's really, it's really interesting how each of the different factions works, because the cats, you're trying to build as much as possible, and you have different buildings that you can build. So one to produce resources for you to build your buildings, one to recruit characters, things like that. The birds, they have a board that has a leader that starts with little slots of the 4 actions that you can do. And you go committing cards to that. Now, the thing that's interesting about the birds is you have to do every one of those actions, one for each card that you have. So initially, you're only doing two things on your turn, but as the turns go by, you're doing more and more, and you have to be able to do them. Or what ends up happening is your faction goes into turmoil where they kill off the leader that you had. You lose all those action cards except for your initial 2, and then you basically have to start your engine building all over again. So the thing that's neat is the Marquita cat gains points by taking out the opponent's buildings and stuff like that. The Blue Jays gain points per turn based on how many buildings they've built. So the more they build per turn, the more points they get. The Resistance basically builds points by kicking out all these other buildings and stuff like that. But, and revolting, and they gain more actions as they go promoting officers. So it's neat in how each one plays completely differently. Yeah. But it's almost like you have this one game, and within this game, you have 4 different games that you're playing, depending on which faction you play as.
Yeah, it's like this faction likes to build. This one likes to destroy shit. This one likes to create chaos.
Right. And it's neat because, like, the cats start with you own everything. Like, you're at the top. Now, you got to try and keep the top as long as you can.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. And that was a thing where, like, they were at PAX. They were demoing the new expansion that was coming out with the 2 new factions. And I never played the game and sat down and I'm like, oh, here's a chance for me to play the game, to test it out and see, the Kickstarter, because I had seen the Kickstarter. And I kid you not, like I sat down for 10 minutes, which is about how long it took us to do the first turn. And I just turned to my friend and I was like, dude, I need to buy this game because this is amazing. It was amazing. Like, it was so funny because it was like my friend was sitting there like, okay, I need to do this and this and this. While I'm like, okay, I need to get over to this area so I could build more buildings to keep my engine going. And then watching the other two factions do their own thing. And it was like, holy crap. Like, this guy made a game that all this stuff works cohesively together, yet you're worried on, I need to do this, but then have to pay attention to whatever everybody else is doing.
Is it hard to learn if you're brand new?
It wasn't that hard to learn, which amazed me. And the funny thing is that each of the different factions, when you look at the back, because that's the thing, is like you flip over your faction board and it actually goes through the setup. So it says like, it has an A, B, C, D. So you do, okay, set up A first. All right, now we go to board. And it tells you, like, here's the Marquis de Cat. Like, this is the easiest difficulty of faction, easy. And then it explains to you, like, this is what you're trying to do. And this is how you're going to score points. So, like, each of the factions plays differently. So you can sit there and play a game, let's say, as the Vagabond, which I think the Vagabond's a bit of one of the harder ones to do. And you may not like the Vagabond, but then you try the Blue Jays and you realize, oh, I really like this one better. Like, this is the faction I want to play as.
No, that's pretty good because, with board games, if, let's say you played a board game like 30 times, you already know how a game's going to kind of go. And if you're up against a new player, you're just going to annihilate those people. Oh, yeah. But you could play the hard faction then, and then you're like, oh, shit, this is still going to be a very challenging game for me.
Right. And that's the thing that I've noticed, like, I love about a lot of the more Euro games is it's going to come down to 1 or 2 points between who wins. Literally, when we played, because that was the thing that kind of sucked there at PAX, is they were letting people play like full games of Root. So you're talking a game could run between 1 and 2 hours. And we just got lucky that we showed up when like one was ending. So we sat down, we played, and we were there for like about an hour and 45 minutes, almost 2 hours. But literally, when you look at the final scoring, the person that won, it's first person to 30, had 30. Second place person had 29. Third place person had 27, and fourth place person had 26. So that's how close that game came. And I looked at it and I was like, damn, that goes to show you just like how well this game was made, where it's that close.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it's not like 30 and then second place guy is like 18 or something.
Yeah. And the other thing, like to your point, Iggy, is that kind of is something that can happen with Euro games, is you'll have those people that will play the game a few times and then they'll realize like, oh, if I do strategy X, Y, Z, I'm going to win every single time. Like, and they learn it and you sit down with them and you're like, oh, Ben's playing. Yeah. The rest of us are playing to see who gets second place. Like, cause everybody will know this one guy is going to win.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with some of those Euro games though.
So if you get in 30, but the Vagabond needs to go off of another faction, how does the Vagabond get first place?
So the way that it works with the Vagabond is you have like a little board that shows like the other 3 alliances. So as you go helping them, you move up on this little thing. So there's 3 tracks that you can go to. Once you get to the 3rd one, you're completely alliance with them. Your victory point, like you still gain victory points for yourself. Up until that point. Once you get to that point, your victory point thing slides down to the bottom, because you can still gain victory points by helping the other people. I believe actually it stays on the board and you just keep gaining your victory points. But if that faction that you're allianced with wins, you also win. So you don't have to get the 30 points.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's cool. That's a cool thing. Yeah, that's a cool thing. And then there is 3 cards in there where you basically commit to the card, and what it is it'll say like you need to, at the end of when it becomes your turn again, you have to occupy like the 3 fox areas on the board. If you do that and you're the Vagabond and you align yourself, because that's the thing, when you say like I'm committing to this, you take your point counter off the board and that's now your end game goal. Same thing with the Vagabond. If he sits there and he aligns with me, and I've decided like I'm going to commit to this, like both our point counters come off the board, and now he's stuck with me trying to get trying to commit to this.
It makes me think a little bit about not Twilight Imperium itself, but you know that spin-off game where you're playing on the capital planet, and then it's like a bunch of every single faction has a different point. Like
I think
somebody
it's Rex.
wants that one. What
Yeah.
was the name?
Rex.
Yeah, that's the one. It
Yeah.
made me think about that because it's like, isn't there like 7 factions or something? And like
It's something like that, yeah.
they're all completely different. Like one wants to get like a political victory, another one wants to just sell a lot.
which is funny because Rex is basically a reskinning of Dune.
Yeah.
And they're actually reprinting the Dune board game now that they redid the that new contract that they did to make the new movies and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So people
Yeah, I
are
remember
excited.
that. I remember hearing about it was just the remake of the Dune game, but since they didn't have the rights to it or whatever, they're like,
Right.
oh, whatever, we'll base it on Twilight Imperium.
Yeah. No, if there's one thing about Twilight Imperium that made me laugh was reading the story of a guy that had played it with his friends, and they brought in a new friend to play.
Oof.
And I forgot what race it is, but it's the one that's like, it's the best to play if you're going to do militaristic.
Yeah.
So this dude just went all in on military, and he was just like sliding across the board, just going. And I remember, and I think it was only in third edition where you could sit there and somebody could like, one of the races could play a card that their ability was like, okay, they pick what we do battle over.
Yeah.
And the guy basically was like, he got to this point where he got to like the middle of the board, and the dude's like, okay, so for this round, everything gets settled through diplomacy. And this dude had 0 in diplomacy. And literally he says, like, to sit there and watch my friend just look across the board, look at his cards and everything, and just like go, fuck, because he realized he couldn't do nothing. He realized he couldn't do anything. And I was like, dude, that is hilarious, which is funny because I own 4th edition. I have yet to play it.
Oh, man.
Because I don't have enough people to want to sit down for that long to play it. Because that's going to be a long game. I hear
Dude,
it's a long game.
my brother plays that game. I don't know if he plays 4th edition, but I do have 3rd edition at home. Dude, when he goes to play that shit, like, he leaves my house, like, at 9 or 10 a.m., and he comes back, like, at midnight, basically. And he does it, like, maybe twice a month or something. And
Jesus. But I've heard
people like that game a lot, but, like, you need to have the right people to play that game. If not, it's like diplomacy. It ends friendships, basically.
Yeah, diplomacy is still the friendship. And they're like, if you ever have a friend that you want to get rid of them, play a game of diplomacy with them. Because they're like, dude, damn, well, like, there's people, like, I laugh. Like, even Will Wheaton has, like, you know, he'll crack jokes about it. Like, you know, unless you're playing this diplomacy, he, like, did it on an episode of Tabletop. He looked at the camera, he's like, that's right, Jeremy, I still remember what you did to me. Like, it's like, holy crap, like, that is...
Is it worse than blowing people out the airlock in Battlestar Galactica game?
Oh, my God.
It's basically that. Because it's a game where there's not even, like, you don't even do anything except you write down what you're going to do in your turn. And it's like, all right, everybody flip over their paper. And it's like, okay, well, you said you weren't going to attack me, but you took over this country here. I just lied to you. Just lied to your face.
Now that's starting to remind me. I've heard similar things of the Game of Thrones board game.
Oh, yeah.
Because instead of writing it on paper, they give you little chits that you put face down with your house symbol on it, and then on the flip side is what you're going to do. And I've read stories of like that where it's like friends are playing, they're like, cool, we're going to alliance. All right, we'll alliance. And all of a sudden, like, their friend will put a chit on the line in between their 2 lines. And he's like, what the hell are you doing, bro? But that's the thing is, like, you don't know what they're doing. Like, you don't know if they're taxing the land to get resources or what.
Oh, man.
All right, go ahead.
But I will say this, like definitely a game that, like, if you can go somewhere that they can demo, if they have an open copy for you to demo it, because it is such a like fun game to, like, that came out of left field. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where I couldn't find it. I kickstarted because in the Kickstarter that they had for the expansion, you could get everything.
Yeah.
And I kickstarted everything, and then when I found the base game there, I bought the base game and then canceled my Kickstarter, and then just kickstarted the expansions for it.
How much does it run?
60 for the base game. It was 60 for the base game, 40 for the expansion, the first expansion, and then 40 for the second expansion.
Okay.
That's coming out. So, but man, what a game, bro! I'm telling you, it is insane.
No, it looks good. Looks
Yeah,
good.
no, it's so.
I might pick that one up because
Yeah.
it looks complicated.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's
Like
not
intricate,
overly
basically.
right. It's not overly complicated, which I like, but it has its own little interests. You know, like little small details about it that you look at it and you're like, okay, I need to do this and this and this and this. And that's the thing that I like about it is like you have to play your own game, but you have to keep an eye on what else is going on because that happened with the last time that we played. Everybody was so concentrated on their own thing, and and my friend was playing the Resistance, and I'm watching. I'm like, crap, he's spreading himself across the board. He's going to be able to knock us out soon. And all of a sudden, it got to a point where I'm like, well, we've reached that tipping point where he's knocking everybody back. And everybody else is like, how the fuck did you get across the board? And I literally said, because y'all dumbasses have been sitting there worrying about your own thing. I've been the only one that's been watching what he's been doing and trying to stop him.
Yeah, it makes me also think a little bit about Lords of Waterdeep, where it's like,
yes,
it's like, hey, you let this ship build up, and this guy gets a benefit from these kind of resources, or like you guys keep using this building that this motherfucker has, and now you just basically let him win the game. Good job, guys.
I will say this: the only other game that I got that I'm looking forward to playing, I finally got myself a copy of Risk Legacy, and I'm
okay.
dying to start playing that, man, because I want to see how that's going to change as we go playing. Also, I don't know about you, Iggy. Have you ever played Betrayal at House on the Hill?
Oh yeah, I have that game.
I played it. Yeah.
Have you played Betrayal Legacy?
No.
Get yourself Betrayal Legacy. I got it as a gift, and we played through the first chapter of the campaign.
Yeah.
And the moment we finished the first chapter of the campaign, my friend was like, we need to keep playing this because this game is fucking with us. Like, that's literally our reaction. And
wait, but what's different with that one compared to the regular one?
So what it does is it has a campaign mode that you play in. So when you open up the box, it has the stack of like the house tiles that are untouched, and it tells you, okay, punch these like ones, but leave the rest of these in the order that they're in the box.
Okay.
And the big difference is it has like the beginning house tile. It now also has outside tiles, so you can not just explore inside the house, but outside the house. And then the other kind of change that they did is the items, omens, the item and omens cards, have a specific place. So if you're like on the first floor and you see like, oh, you pop up an item and the item shows for like the roof or the basement, you have to skip that card till you get to one of the ones that's in it.
Okay.
The other big difference is that it has like a deck of cards that's like the legacy deck itself. So like it'll tell you, okay, like, you know, like in the first campaign, it says when the first person dies, give this card to that person. So first person died, we sat there and handed the card, you know, to him. He read it. He's like, oh shit. And we're like, what? And he's like, you'll find out if you die. And then the second person died and he gave the card and all we heard was like, oh shit. And the first guy was like, yep. And we were all like, the rest of us were like, what? And they're like, you'll find out if you die.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. It was so like, it's so cool because it just guides you along. So like initially you only have a small stack of tiles, but as you go playing through the campaign, it adds more tiles into it. So it's neat because the back of the cards, it shows like, I think the first one's like 1866 and you come up with the name of the character you're playing. And then you also on the front, you write onto the card the last name of the family. So you're basically playing different time frames that you either play as the same character coming back or you're playing as a descendant of that family coming back to this house.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
And what's neat is once you're done playing through the campaign, it basically turns into a customized version of Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Huh.
So that's what's kind of neat. And I'm looking forward to that also.
Oh, man. Yeah, that sounds like it makes the regular game a lot better, basically.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. So we're going to end Geek salad segment and move over to the you don't get the show segment. So it's gonna get crazy up in here now.
I
Alright, hold on.
derailed the show.
Use the bathroom before I pee myself now.
Yeah, you go do that.
Old man time. Hold on.
I mean,
we can't edit this out, bro.
Nah, we ain't editing this out. Nope.
We can't edit this. We gotta grab a bucket or something.
Alright, hold on.
Everybody
Jesus
on Steam,
Christ.
just let you know Iggy's going to take a piss.
I'm gonna go urinate everywhere. I'm at my house now, so I can do whatever the fuck I want.
You start hearing the like dripping water. What's that? Nothing. Keep filming.
Oh man, I remember I was on set a couple of weekends ago, and so I do sound on set. So I was miking up this lady, and she goes, then like we do this a couple of scenes or whatever, and it's like an hour or so later, and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go use the restroom." Now, anyone who does sound, because basically the sound that I do is you're mic'd with like remote mics that are hidden like underneath your shirt. But then you also have the boom mic that you put over to record people.
You forgot to mute his fucking mic.
Iggy's a pro. You see this, guys? This is what we have to deal with.
Want to hear that at the same time?
Because right now, I have nothing.
What, you want to watch that?
No. Right? There's that.
Hold on. I hear laughing. Hold on a second. Hello?
We're just listening to everything. It's like, it's great.
Listening to her yell at you from across the room.
Gina, relax. Gina wants to hear the stream at the same time. Ow, what the fuck, dude?
It was
No
funny.
chickle.
Beat him up. Beat him up. We need more viewers.
It was funny because me and Jose are sitting there talking, and all of a sudden we hear Gina, "What do you want?" yelling at you to the other room. And then the conversation of y'all two going back and forth kept overtaking the camera.
Yeah,
I'm like,
but she and I talking noise loud,
mic.
man.
I was like, Kiki forgot to mute his mic. That's great.
Fuck it.
I was basically just talking about how, like, when I have to mic people on a film set, that
All right,
it's
hold on.
etiquette to mute it when they go to the bathroom.
Nah,
Cause
we're not professional
She
here,
came
man.
back and she's like, "Oh, I hope that my pee sounds didn't bother you." I'm like, yeah. As soon as a person leaves the set, it's protocol to turn off the mic. We're not listening to you take a piss.
I'm not at work.
Oh, God, that was great.
Yeah, I sent her the link so she could watch the stream thing.
All right.
Your Facebook thing.
So tell us about
Put on headphones, Gina.
Tell us about Super Seducer.
Oh my god! Already about that shit.
Yeah.
Gina, what the fuck, dude? Use Google Chrome, it says.
I did.
No, you're not on Google Chrome. You're on Firefox.
I'll tell you, this is a
That's the
show in
part.
itself.
Well, this is one of the ideas that I had for the Twitch channel. It's just me and Gina fighting the whole time and people laugh.
I think
Gina,
it's a
what the
winner.
fuck? Copy that shit over. Right click on it. God damn it.
Hey, you can sit there and put that shit up on Twitch on the IRL stream.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh my god, click on that shit. They're laughing their ass off. No, put it up there. God damn it. Hurry up, paste and go.
This is
Press enter. Oh my god, press enter for
this
fuck's
is
sake.
every IT person's life right here.
Oh my god. Press enter, go. On the keyboard. That's the delete. Copy and go.
Well, that is the you don't get the show.
Thanks for
We got the
watching.
wrong thing.
Oh man.
Gina. Gina, I can't.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, alright, you have to sign into your Google account.
This will be the best damn show we've ever done.
Yeah, I
Right
think,
here.
Hurry up!
see, this is what happens when when three of us get together. It's over.
This is why it was just me and Jose. Because we knew it was just gonna. We weren't just gonna derail the show. This was gonna go and take out a town.
Gina, you forgot your password. What the fuck? Gina, hurry up. We can't even talk about the fucked up game. Oh my god, I can't breathe.
People are gonna ask, they're gonna be like, what does Ignacio do
People
to this
that just joined in, they're like, what the fuck
They're like,
is going on?
What are you doing to this poor woman?
Gina, reset your password.
Oh man.
See what happens when I go pee?
Everything falls apart.
Oh my god, she's still resetting the password. Anyways,
Alright, so
should I continue talking about the game now?
Yes.
go ahead.
Alright, so Super Seducer is a game made by some creep that basically shows you how to pick up women. It's like a choose your own adventure game
Oh yes.
that has like live action video that looks worse than a porno movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
that dude hates Jim Sterling because Jim Sterling has freaking talked so much crap about that game. It is so funny.
Dude, I laughed so hard when I watched that shit. Like, I watched people playing it, and people's reactions to it are like, what the fuck is going on? Because literally, like, some of the scenarios, it's like some guy's walking down the street, and then, like, it's like, hey, you see a woman you like, what do you do? And one of the options, like, as soon as the game starts, is to stalk her. To follow her. Just... Because that's like a regular thing. Like, that's how you pick up women. You just stalk them, and you do some weird creep thing.
Good Lord, Gina's back there angry typing the hell out of her
she's
password.
doing the shit out of that thing.
I was gonna say she's angry typing her password in like tack, 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 tack.
No!
Gina, reset your fucking password for...
This is better than any show we could have ever done.
Yeah. So anyways...
We're gonna get the clicks now, Jose. You watch.
Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You can literally clip out that whole 5 minutes of Iggy and her. I swear that'll be your most viewed.
I'm just gonna call it change your fucking password.
That's it. That's it. It's going up like that.
Well, you know what? The other day, Gina cracked me up while I was doing the stream because some other people from work were watching it and shit. And then I was telling them that at my house, even though like I guess we're poor or whatever, I always have food. Like, no matter what, that's one of my rules. Whenever you're hungry, you can always eat something. And then Gina goes, "What are you talking about? Our house reminds me of Al Bundy's house." Remember the kids going to the fridge and they're like, should we have some more baking soda again?
That is
So anyways,
sad. I've been to people's houses where you open the refrigerator and all they have is baking soda and maybe like water.
Ketchup and mustard. That's it.
Water that might not even be clean.
Well, ketchup and mustard packs. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Hi,
Oh,
Gina.
we're in trouble now. now we've officially exploded. Wait,
Gina.
did you say they came out with a part 2 to Super?
Yeah, there's a part 2 to Secret Seducer. So, if part 1 weren't already like so fucking ridiculous, part 2 starts out with the main guy riding in a tank wearing a suit, and then some woman shows up with like a yacht, and then like you're trying to seduce her like at this country club because apparently like he's like James Bond and shit. But like this other woman shows up that's like a supermodel riding like a $100,000 Mercedes. And like you have the option to just be like, you know what? Fuck this bitch. I want that supermodel. And he literally runs after the Mercedes car. Like it looks like a cartoon where like he's running through the desert and like through mountains and shit. And he catches up to the Mercedes and like this guy that I was watching the stream for, the first option he picked is he says hi to the woman and immediately starts humping the car. It's like, hey, I like your car. He starts fucking the car.
I love that they actually tried to sell this game as if you follow what he says correctly, you'll get the woman. Because yeah, you could do this crazy shit and then it'll show you like she'll get mad and leave or slap you or something, and then you're there just lonely and looking alone like, what happened? But if you say these perfect things, then like they allude to like, oh, you guys are just about to have sex. So they don't show any of that, but you know.
No, of course not. Well, the funniest thing is in part 1, whenever you pick whatever option, the guy explains it to you, and it's like a professor explaining to you the way women work and the way relationships work. And on the bed, there's these 2 escorts. And
Oh yeah.
and they look like they're like white slaves that are gonna be sold into prostitution. That's what they look like.
I remember that because that was the thing that that was one of the things that Jim Sterling said about it, that he was like, the funny thing is he like rented some hotel room, got these 2 prostitutes to sit in the background while he's filming these explanations and stuff. And then of course the dude went on Twitter and was like, no, that's my bedroom of my house. And everyone was like, sure, it's your bedroom at your house.
Next thing you know, the internet detectives go out, they find a hotel room, take the same pictures, it's...
Yeah, no, it was so funny.
Anyways, I highly recommend it for anybody that likes the kind of fucked up shit we like. Either buy the game or watch people playing it, because it's one of the funniest things you can ever see. It's also one of the cringiest things you will ever fucking see in your entire life.
Well, I guess I'll start off our rant section, because basically the next 3 things we want to talk about are all rants against game companies, so get ready for that.
Yay!
Get ready to stand on our soapboxes.
Alright, mine starts with Fallout 76, because
of course.
Of course. If anyone doesn't even know what that is by now, I mean, if you played like the original, there are people that didn't even like anything besides 2. Like, there's people that said 1 and 2 are great. After that, complete shit. Some people like 3. Most people didn't really like 4. They liked New Vegas. 76 was supposed to be like their chance to like redeem themselves in a sense, you know, and they failed. Like, one of the first things that they said is like, there's no people there, which we've talked about this on the show before. That just kills most of your stories, because it'd be different if you knew no one was there and the stories didn't revolve around that. But anyone that would read it, it's not like just gamers who are reading every little inch of news. No, they told you right there that there's no one alive. So you'd go out and you'd get a quest and it'd be like, searching for Mary Sue. Well, Mary Sue's dead. Like, they already said there are no living people. So you're going around finding these tapes and all that. And I admit, the tapes that you pick up are interesting and blah, blah, blah. But still, there's no people, especially after playing, like, Elder Scrolls Online, which had a bad launch and now is really great years later. I was just like, why would they launch it like this? So you're going around searching for Mary Sue, and of course you find her corpse and you find a tape, and it's like, oh, I died doing this, blah, blah, blah. So there were already problems with that. There were problems with like things like the bobby pins that you use to pick locks, weighing like a pound each. You know,
did you hear how somebody gave the CEO feedback on the bobby pins?
Yeah, I heard they took it. They took bobby pins and like, does this weigh a pound?
No, they had somebody mail him a box of bobby pins with a letter attached to it that said "weigh these." And that was literally what the thing was.
Yeah.
What the fuck,
man? And there were problems with, like, they would do a reset and then you would lose a bunch of your stuff. The storage options were terrible at first. I mean, it's still not good now, but they were really bad. And it's like, just like in other Fallouts, you could pick up pretty much everything, but they had crazy storage limits and all that. But one of the things that everybody was worried about was the Atom Store, because you know how people are. They put an Atom Store together, they put any type of paying, and then people start to wonder, is there going to be pay-to-win items? Now, people can be, on one side or the other as far as cosmetics. I personally don't care. If somebody wants to spend $100 so they can have golden halos around themselves, go for it, as long as it doesn't impact the game. As long as those golden halos don't heal you or give you a damage shield and allow you to win. So that's fine. But now they've added this thing to the game where it's like people are wondering, is this the beginning? And it's like a repair kit. So one of the things about the game is that you have to go back either to your base, or you have to find a repair area to repair your gear. Because if you break and you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're going to get killed. So it's always important to like know where that is. So instead of putting like a repair kit in the game where you can get it and then use it yourself, they decided that they're going to put it on as an Atom Store item and that you could use that. So that already has people pissed, because maybe in a regular setting, it's not that big of a deal. You know, you're not really necessarily playing against people, especially on the survivor mode where they made the PvP damage extremely low. But when you go and you play PvP, being able to just click on an item and repair your gear on the fly is an advantage. And Bethesda's trying to be wishy-washy with it, saying, oh, well, we read that people are looking forward to it. And people are like, where? I'm sure somewhere on all of the internet you can find someone that's like, that's great. And it's funny because, of course, in the post on Reddit, there was some guy who goes there and says, I'm one of those people. Right. Sure you were. You know, and everyone's like calling him a Bethesda employee and shit. But people are upset because it's like they've seen it with EA. They've seen it with so many other places where they claim that they're going to not make it pay to win. And then they start testing people, you know, like, let me do a little bit here, let me do a little bit here, let me see what people think. And the sad part is because there's already so much outrage, it's hard to tell what actually is going to lead to something. Like, it's one thing with the EA loot boxes, because you ended up having, like, the UK government shut that shit down. You had, like, freaking Disney and stuff saying, hey, look, don't mess with Star Wars. That's one thing.
Don't mess with the House of Mouse, baby. Don't mess with
and
the
it's
House
one
of
thing
Mouse.
to have them do it. It's another thing to think that, you know, 1,500 Reddit posts are really changing things. I mean, Iggy, you know, working at Alienware, we saw the difference between someone posting saying, I'm never going to buy another Alienware, and actual sales numbers. At first, people would freak out and be like, oh my god, someone's complaining about Alienware. But then you realize it's just one guy spamming like 3-4 accounts, and you're like, I don't care. And I think that's unfortunately that's what's happening now. I mean, there's a lot of topics, including things that we're going to talk about, where I have to ask myself, is it really going to be outrage or is it going to be fake? And one of the things I was going to say in terms of that was Borderlands. Borderlands supposedly announced that it's going to be an Epic Store exclusive, you know, and for at least, what, 6 months, they said, before it goes to Steam. And you had all these people saying, I'm going to pirate, I'm not going to buy it, I'm going to buy it a year later. But the question is, are you really? Like, are you just posting that on Reddit for free karma? Or are you going to, like, you know, back down? And I know that, Iggy, you had a thing about just exclusive in itself, and you too, Randy.
That was, like, that was the thing that, looking at it, and I forgot, that was somewhere I read that they were talking about that right now, when you sit there and you look at it, Epic has got the cash flow behind it because of Fortnite that they could just go to whatever developer and be like, dude, we'll give you $300 million if you sign an exclusivity deal to us. And people are doing it, of course, because, hey, these developers, if they can get themselves money like that and say the hell with it, yeah, we'll sit on your platform for 6 months, they're taking it. Of course. The thing that's like really crazy, where it really started to get out of hand, is I forgot the name of the game that they did a Kickstarter for. And the Kickstarter, you got to choose whether you got
Phoenix.
the Phoenix. Yeah. Whether you got a GOG key or a Steam key, and then they're like, hey, guess what? We're gonna do an exclusivity thing to the Epic Store. Man, there were so many people that requested a refund because they're like, dude, you told us when we gave you money for you to make this game that we could choose what key we want, and now you're telling us, no, you're getting this key? Like,
only. And
only
on top of
this
that,
key.
all those people that invested, that funded that game, that were like Linux people, they're like, oh yeah, we're coming up with a Linux client. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. And that's like, it's crazy that it's gotten to that point where, like, you know, I totally understand the whole, like, you know, they're trying to push it on their side, being like, oh, but this is good for the developers because they get a bigger cut of what they sell and blah, blah, blah. Which, yes, that is nice for them to do that. And at the same time, it's good that they're not still selling it at the same price, that they're actually like, oh, because we're going to get bigger of a cut, yeah, we can actually sell it for lower. It's good. But the thing about it is like, not everybody, and this is going to lead into your point, Iggy, is not everybody wants to have all their games on
10
multiple
clients and shit.
10 clients and stuff.
Well, that's something I was going to ask, and this goes into what you were about to say, Iggy. There were like a couple of points that people had. First, they had that they hate exclusivity. Okay, I understand that. Then they were talking about that the Epic Store had issues with security and stuff like that. That, of course, is a concern. And I think that, of course, I think that's going to be fixed. It's not like it's going to stay that way. A lot of it just seems to just be general Epic hate. A lot of people, especially on Reddit, hate Fortnite. I don't know why you would hate a game. I don't get it. I don't even like Fortnite, at least not the Battleground version, but I don't go around hating on it. I don't understand that part. But when they talk about the part that you want to talk about, Iggy, is having multiple things, I don't see how that's a big deal unless it's like hard drive. I understand convenience, but already I run like 3 or 4 different ones. I don't think I'm breaking my computer or something. Installing.
I will say this. I will say this as a person that just recently had to format and reload his computer, having to remember, wait, which clients do I have to download again? Sucks ass. All right,
you got me there.
Here's the thing. Here's the reason why I am against having different clients. Okay, how's the multiplayer gonna work?
That's true.
Huh?
That's true.
Have you thought about that?
Well,
that's like, oh, I have this game on Steam. Well, the Steam version doesn't work with the Epic Clients version, or doesn't work with the GOG version.
Well, this is the thing, is at least it's gotten to a point where if you're on PC, no matter what client you're playing, you're pretty much playing together. The moment they sit there and they say, okay, only the Steam people can play with Steam people, only the GOG people can play with GOG people, that's where they're going to have a freaking problem.
Well,
because
Iggy's correct. Terraria was one of those games. And Starbound. Starbound, if you had Starbound through GOG, you couldn't, at least, I don't know about right now, because I haven't played in months. But back when it was still in early launch, GOG could not play with Steam. So if that ends up happening, woo.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, because if you look at like Elder Scrolls Online, whether you get it directly from them or you do through Steam, you're all playing on the same servers. Because it basically, the Steam version just basically says like, cool, you just gotta log in, you gotta create an account through them and then log in.
But you're all that's an MMO and you're all connecting to the same server basically. But it's gonna be a little bit different with like a like a typical multiplayer game where it's like, you're not really necessarily connecting to the main game server. You might be connecting to a Steam-based server.
Yeah. That's the thing that it makes me wonder how they're going to do that. Because if they at least do it like an MMO where they have all the main servers and they say, okay, if you want to play multiplayer, you have to come through here, then it shouldn't matter. But like you say, if Steam's going to be controlling or Epic's going to be controlling those multiplayer servers, you're going to end up dividing the community, which will suck because it's going to go back to the whole like EA with Battlefield where you bought the base game and everybody was playing it. And then the first expansion came out and half those people bought the expansion. Now you split the community into base and first expansion.
Yeah.
And they do that on purpose. They do that even when like if you want to go back and play like, the old Battlefield 4 or something like that, it's like either there's hardly anyone there, or I swear they stopped doing the like anti-cheat on there. So now it's like you see cheating all the time. But if you play any of the newer Battlefields, it's like cheating is more curbed. So it's like they do this shit to make you keep advancing on to their newest product, which is bullshit.
So it's gonna get really interesting. Let's just say.
Yeah, that's the thing that right now. What I want to see is, like, to your point, is like how they're going to do the multiplayer of all this stuff. Because, again, I don't mind having multiple clients. It's just a pain in the butt that now I like reloaded. I'm like, okay, I loaded up my Battle.net, I loaded up my Steam, I loaded up my Epic, I loaded up my Bethesda. Like, it's all these different clients that I have to remember. Like, oh yeah, I got to reinstall that. But if it doesn't mess with my multiplayer experience, I don't care. I'll still play the game.
I think that they're marketing to the younger people who are playing Fortnite. And when I talk to people who either have kids that are like, under 18 or whatever, they don't care. Especially if they're giving away a free game. They'll collect it even if they have no intention to play it, just because it's free, and then they can just say, hey, I have 30 games in this, I have 40 games in that.
Yeah.
Same thing with Steam. So the thing is that I don't... Look, do I see older gamers Staying away? Sure. Because I see that now where someone will say, you know what? I'm going to wait for the Game of the Year edition. I'm waiting for a Steam sale. I'm waiting 6 months down the line. I was the idiot that bought Fallout 76 early because I actually thought we'd get a group together. I should have waited until it was half price.
Yeah.
That was my fault. But that's the thing. The older you get, you're willing to wait. I think Epic knows you don't make your money after those people. Sure, we may technically have more disposable income, but it's the kids that want things on day one and will pay the high price on day one.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, because I feel like an old man now. So basically, whenever I'm at work, it's like I see all these kids like getting hyped up. Oh man, the Division 2 is gonna be the shit. Oh, this game's gonna be the shit. And I'm like, yeah. A month later, you're not gonna be playing it, and neither is anybody else here. That's my answer to any AAA game.
I will say this. Division 2 is not bad. The only kind of thing about that game that's like a bit weird about it is it's like same theming, just different, like, you know, oh, it's more open space than it was in the first one. Yeah. But I mean, like, the one thing that made me laugh is I feel like they did do a better job of like the non-bullet sponge thing that the first one had. But the big difference is they basically just made it where like the guns all have way more recoil now. So instead of it before where you were just like pop, 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 now it's like pop, 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 like you have to stop shooting and then re-aim again. Yeah. But like a lot of what the people that are reviewing it are saying it is kind of true. It's like you're basically just it's the same enemy types, like no matter which faction you go, you have the grenade guy, the shooting guy, the guy that rushes you to attack, the melee guy, like, and the bosses basically just are the same thing, just wearing like huge chunks of armor on it. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's basically what Division is. Like, you're just killing all these little guys just to go through and do your mission and rescue this person or clear out this facility or whatever it may be. Like, it's almost sad because one game that I played and I'm like, I really wanted it to be good was Anthem. And I played that open demo that they had. And I was just like, I looked at it and I said, bro, this studio's going to get shut down. Like, let's face facts. EA is the one that their CEO won't take. Yeah. He'll just shut this place down. And then hearing all the stuff with the Kotaku article and all that, it's like, oh, so it wasn't EA that screwed this up. It was actually them.
Yeah, that's the worst part. You can't blame it on EA.
You can't blame EA. That was the whole thing. I was like, man, why the hell didn't you guys like decide on something? You had all that time while you were developing it. But
well, I can already tell there was going to be a problem with Anthem because it's like I saw the initial video for it and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And then it's like, then you don't hear shit about it for like a while.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's coming out, and then like a week later, oh, Apex came out. And both of them are distributed by EA, so it's like that's a little confidence they had in the game. Basically, it's like they just overshadowed it immediately by another product.
Well, and that was the thing is you knew it was in trouble when like you said, you didn't hear anything, and all of a sudden EA was like, by the way, Anthem's coming out on this day. I'm like, oh, they put the ultimatum down to them and told them, hey, guess what? It's coming out one way or another.
Yeah. Also, generally, unless it's kind of like for example, Division 2, they have a code right now with like AMD stuff, just simply because I don't know, some people will buy AMD stuff, but not everybody. But like I noticed some, like at the moment there's like an NVIDIA code, so like you can get Anthem for free. So like that's already for me like, hey, that's like a $60 game. That's like a bad sign if they're just giving it away with like a video card.
I'll put it this way, I was talking with Jose. I had to replace my 1080 because it's crapping out on me. So I got a 2080, and I just so happened to fall in that in between where they like did away with that offer. So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, not only did my video card crap out, but I didn't get any games out of it.
And look, Twitch does give you an indication. I mean, when Apex came out, and all of a sudden it was just destroying Fortnite and all the other games. Like, I mean, day after day after day, and it's still, when you go there, it'll still be top 3 almost every time. Like, once in a while, a super streamer will stream, like, something and beat it for some reason. But besides that, it's like, no, it's taking over. Anthem, on the other hand, it barely hit 1, like, even on day 1. Like you had a couple of those day one streamers that always just play whatever's semi-big on day one, so it was towards the top of the page. I haven't even seen it in the top 10. I see Retro higher than Anthem most days. So, I mean, yeah, I don't see anything. But one question I want to have for both of y'all, do you think when you read about hate for something, like let's say just in the same context, this epic hate, do you really think that it's going to translate to when people post that on Reddit and social media to actual, they're not going to download it or they're going to pirate, or do you think that it's just BS, like it's not going to have any effect? And do you think companies have learned to not jump to conclusions just based on negative press? Because if you do, it's like there's always something. There's a new thing every day that someone's outraged about.
Well, some of that stuff, it's hard to say whether it's real or not, because not to sound like Trump or anything, but some of that shit is like fake news.
Yeah.
Because basically, if I'm not, let's say if I'm EA Origin and I want to fuck with Epic, even though like I'm just Origin, which is shit compared to Steam. Like you could basically just put a bunch of fake articles out there, or like make a bunch of like people in India just post shit talking crap about the Epic Mega Store, you know. So it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where like it could be true. It could be that a whole bunch of people went online and were like, screw this company and blah blah blah. I mean, look at how much outrage the stupid loot boxes in Battlefront 2 got, that it gained traction and all that. So I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility that it could actually be legit people that are like, screw it, I'll pirate the game instead of buying it. But at the same time, it's like Iggy said, like it could be like, all right, guys, what we need to do is everybody in the office here log on right now to Twitter and make a fake account and then post that you're gonna pirate the game. Like, we won't know until the game actually comes out. That's the problem.
I think go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, and the sad part is no matter what, like something like Borderlands 3, they could make it exclusive to a client from a company in China that they'll flat out tell you, we gonna take your information, we gonna sell that. And they'll still sell hundreds of millions of copies of that game because of just how passionate the fan base is for games. Doesn't matter what client they do, doesn't matter what they do with your info, people will buy the game. That's the sad part about it is, like, look at how many people bought Anthem, and they pissed and moaned about it, and there were people that bought it, and they were like, it's the best game that's on the planet, when it wasn't. And, you're always going to have, they're going to have to say, like, Anthem made its, I mean, granted, it made way well below what they wanted it to, but EA can thank Apex for freaking giving them the money that they needed to keep the doors open for that. But look at like Blizzard. Blizzard's having trouble now. Like COD is dying out. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff. The World of Warcraft is dying out on them.
Heroes of the Storm.
Heroes of the Storm is gone.
All they have is Overwatch, really.
And even then, they've already started cutting back on the stuff for Overwatch. Like they literally, completely torn apart all the esports stuff that they were doing.
I think some of it might have to do with like Activision corrupting Blizzard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's the sad part is, like, I remember, like, all three of us can remember when that huge merger that everybody was like, it's gonna be amazing, and now we're like, it's a sad damn day when they're because it's one of those things that it almost feels like the writing's on the wall that eventually we will hear, hey, guess what? Activision Blizzard folded over, and we're gonna be like, what? Like, yeah. Let's face facts. Like, WoW has been going on for how many years now, and it's been declining steadily. Like, you knew they were in trouble when they were like, "Hey, we're not going to tell you how many subscribers we have anymore." Like,
yeah, that's usually a bad sign.
Right? They did that to save their butts and not have their investors freak out when they realize, like, "Hey, we lost another 2 million subscribers this month or next."
I mean, think about this. Anything is possible. Remember when THQ, which used to be the third biggest company, folded? I mean, I remember owning stock for those fucking people, and I remember thinking to myself, like, thank God I sold all that stock.
Yeah.
At one point I owned like $20,000 worth of stock on it. And I was like, Thank God I sold that thing and made some money.
Well,
Because if not, it would be worth zero.
You'd be
Look
doing
at-
Twitch from the alley.
yeah. I mean, hell, look at freaking what's the name of this company that was doing the Walking Dead games?
Oh, Telltale.
Games.
Oh, Telltale, where they
Yeah.
literally have people show up at the office. They're like, "Hey, pack your shit. We're done." Like, that was scary because I had to look back and I'm like, man, I remember getting the first Walking Dead game and it was amazing, and getting the second Walking Dead game and it was amazing. And it's like, holy crap! And if there's one thing, there is what's his name on YouTube that he does these things called like the death of a game, and he'll talk about.
Oh, I've seen those.
Yeah, and he did one for Telltale Games, and I was like, damn, he brings up a good point. Like, if you really look at all the Telltale games, it was the same game, just different theme.
Yeah.
And they were cranking those things out as fast as they could.
I think that's the problem. I think that it's the same thing that happens with TV. Like, Blizzard, when they came out with World of Warcraft, it was great for the time. You still had people that were in the EverQuest 2, City of Heroes, Conan, all those games. They were still hungry for that type of gameplay.
Yeah.
I think the reason why the Elder Scrolls is doing so well is because you now, especially the older gamers, they'll say they don't really want a group anymore. They don't like group dynamics. People quit too quickly. People complain too much. It's too toxic and it's too time consuming. So a game like Elder Scrolls, you play that and it feels like a single player game, and then you go do a dungeon with 5 or 6 people, and if you want to, you could do some PvP. And they've been able to completely separate the two as well. So it's not like, oh, we're going to nerf this that you love in single player because it's also part of the PvP component. I think that that's the future, and what's happening is that you go into... I remember, it was 2 years ago now, I logged into World of Warcraft, played a Battleground, and it was still mostly bots. And the 1 or 2 other actual humans in there were calling out the fact that it's bots. So it's like, you realize that that model's going to die. And I think that what's going to end up happening with games, I don't know how they're going to do it. It's going to be like what's happening with TV shows. Back in the day, someone demanded, 20, 30 episodes a season of a show. Look at how many people call for episodes to be like 10, 12 episodes. You would think that that'd be like the other way around. There's shows that people love. Like, even before Walking Dead turned to shit, people were saying, man, I wish that they would make it 12 episodes instead of, 16 or 17. It'd be better. Like, they want things to be shorter and done better. And I think that if MMOs, you're going to almost have to make an MMO have a shelf life of maybe 2 or 3 years max, so that you move on to the next thing, not have a 10, 12-year MMO, like World of Warcraft. I don't think that's going to be viable anymore.
For sure. I mean, basically, by their very nature, MMOs are just born to die, pretty much, because no matter what, the game engine's going to be super dated, so unless it's going to be like, oh, we're going to make, let's say, World of Warcraft 2, and we're going to build on all the data from World of Warcraft 1, and then import it, and it's going to be affecting whatever you're going to get in part 2. Unless that happens, it's just going to be like, some new person's going to be like, oh, let me put this game. Okay, this looks like shit. I don't want to play this.
I mean, the big thing also is if you sit there and you look at it, like, you look at World of Warcraft where it is now, and it's become I only got an hour to run a raid. Cool, you can do that. What's really funny is when they demoed the vanilla servers, and these people that had been playing World of Warcraft for years jumped on the vanilla, and they were like, holy crap, I forgot it took this long to do stuff. Like, they were like, wow, like, they've streamlined so much stuff. And that's the big thing is it's gone. MMOs have gone from the I can sit in front of my computer for 10 hours to play this to, all right, cool, I got an hour and a half before the kids are up and I can sit there and play.
Yeah.
Like, it's shifted so much. Like you said, MMOs now are basically meant to die. So if you look at a lot of MMOs, what are they doing? They're going for the beautiful graphics with all the effects and all that, and free to play, and trying to sell you that pay to win thing as much as you can, get as much cash as they can out of people, and then go, all right, fuck it, kill that one, do the next one.
Yeah, and the older person will basically, since the game's effectively free to play now, they're gonna be like, hey, you know what? I can only play for 1 hour. I'm gonna activate this booster thing that for 1 hour I'm gonna triple all my shit.
Right.
And if you think it captures both ends, so the older people have less time, so they'll probably spend more money to get the experience in a short amount of time. The younger people are used to getting everything handed to them. So so both sides are speeding up. Younger people, yes, they may binge watch a show, but they still only want to binge watch, a short amount of shows. They don't want to binge watch hours and hours. They want things right now. So no one's going to be like EverQuest, where you're going to not only have to sit at your computer for 10 hours, but you may not get the loot you want. You may kill hundreds of mobs and it still doesn't get it. There's no way anyone under 21 is accepting that. There's no way anyone is accepting that shit anymore.
Don't make me bring up that fucking red eye that y'all spent 3 hours camping that one stupid thing to get the thing. And after like 3 hours, y'all spent 2 seconds killing the mob. And then like, all right, we didn't get it, screw it. And then everybody went back to playing whatever it was.
I can't believe that I can't believe that I would sit in one room with the same group for 5-6 hours, and then we wouldn't even get the mob. The mob would spawn. You'd kill it, it wouldn't drop it. Then a placeholder, which most people don't even know what placeholder means. That means that if your mob was called Superman, this one would be called a clone of Superman or essence of Superman. So you're like, why would you spawn a placeholder? It makes no sense now. Yeah. But back then, they thought that was cool. Like, you might get the guy you're looking for, or you might get his placeholder.
Yeah, but that's just the developer saying, hey, you, by the way, you're definitely not going to get the drop this time. But we want to let you know that we're wasting your time.
Exactly.
Well, and that was the thing that, like, I loved EverQuest just for how, like, great it was and how beautiful the game was. Bro, I hated that. To this day, I hate the grind when it comes to MMOs. So if I start playing one and I start getting there and I start seeing like, oh, this game's just making me sit there and kill 10 rats and come back and kill 10 more and come back and kill 10 more and come back, I'm like, screw it, I'll stop playing the damn game. Which is why I don't play a lot of those like beautiful, new free-to-play MMOs, because it's literally just like a grind fest from the beginning all the way to the end.
Well, what's interesting about that is one of the reasons the grind worked was because we actually would have friends that we would hang with in the game, and that people that we knew in real life and brought into the game. Because as much as those 6-hour camps may suck, like I said, it was mainly the same group. Maybe one guy would have to go, but the other person would get in, and they would talk to you. It wouldn't be like leet speak or nothing. We didn't have any voice chat back then. They would type and start talking to you like a normal human being. Not even like nowadays if you try and talk on social media and someone's like spamming. No, they talk to you, so you'd actually become friends, add them to your friends list, group up, do things. That's why the Japanese MMOs like that are still grinding, they still work. Because in the Japanese culture, they'll still message and talk to each other during the game. It's us who are all of a sudden decided to go antisocial in video games. We don't talk. We get pissed if we die once, and we quit. So, I mean, no one's going to be in the same group. What's the longest you've been in a group with someone? I remember I played an MMO. The longest I was in a group with someone was 15 minutes. Someone had to quit. Someone got upset. Some bullshit.
That would explain why I disliked like EverQuest, because I had no friends in that game. So there you go. And by the time I figured out you guys were all playing it, they were like, "Oh, what level are you?" I'm like, 14. How about you guys? Oh, we're 50 already. I'm like, well, I guess I ain't playing with y'all.
I know that we have to get out of here, but the last thing I was gonna say about the whole idea of having these like outrage online, I think Reddit ends up killing itself because of the karma system. Because it's clear that sometimes people will post just for karma. Like, I remember even with Battlefront, which definitely had issues, there was this picture of like, I think a Best Buy, where it shows like a whole rack full of the game. And they kept posting that over and over saying, look, it's not selling. And it's the exact same picture, but every time it would get upvoted, it would get silver, it would get gold. And we know Reddit's full of reposts, but this is in a subreddit of a subreddit. So you could even search. You'd look 2 or 3 pages away, you'd see the exact same post. So the problem is that you have no idea what's real. Now, Epic Store, I think it's going to win out because it's already got Fortnite. So they're not looking for the 30-year-old bitter gamer on
No.
You know,
they got
Reddit.
The little kids, and the little kids have their mommy's credit card. So.
Right. They're going to be playing it. They're going to get all the games. So people think it's going to die because a bunch of people on Reddit said so. No. Now, the issues as far as security, fine. That's true. But once that's fixed, Epic is all good. I bet you.
Oh yeah, and I was this now that you mentioned that whole thing of the pictures of Reddit of the Battlefield not selling. That now reminds me of the photo I saw on Reddit of in some like store in Russia where they were selling the Xbox One X, the Fallout 76 Xbox One X with a second copy of Fallout 76 taped to it for free if you bought it. And I was like, man, that's crazy, dude. They're like, buy one for you and give one to your friend. Oh, Lord.
Oh,
Yeah, but not only do they have the little kids, nowadays little kids can literally just get cash, go to like a Walgreens, CVS, and buy a freaking gift card for the game without their parents even knowing. Like they'll just buy for cash and they'll sell it to the kid and they don't give a shit. So.
Well, that's another thing. I even posted that on one of the Reddit things. They're like, oh, well, you know, older people have more disposable income, so the younger kids aren't going to... I'm like, bro. I'm like,
I got rent.
I'm like, first of all, that's not completely true. But even if it is, here's something that you guys are forgetting. A lot of you guys, especially anyone that's like in their 30s or late 20s, you probably had to beg your mom to use the credit card. And she was probably like, I don't even know if I want to put my credit card on this shit that I don't know. Nowadays, I know parents who leave their credit card on the system for their kid because you can save that shit. So they leave it there and the kid's just like click, click, click. And maybe the parent watches it and if it goes over too high of an amount, they trip. But trust me, most of these parents just want their kids to not bug them, so they don't give a fuck. They leave the credit card there. So I'm like, don't think that these kids are like sitting there not being able to buy these games when they come out. The credit card's already on file.
Well, talking about that, I remember seeing a video that had, I think it was Jack Black. He was on Conan, and he was talking about Candy Crush Saga. Like, he made the mistake of saving his credit card, like his main card, to like his daughter's tablet or something. And she spent like $50,000. So he was begging Candy Crush, please refund me some of that money. You gotta look for it. Dude, it's like, please. I'm making like a free commercial for you on Conan right now. Please give me some of that money back.
Buddy, it's the reason why when you look at the App Store, when you used to be able to see like top grossing apps, that's why Candy Crush was like #1. It's like, it's a free game. How can it be #1 grossing? Because of kids.
Yeah, they'll get frustrated and they'll just pay for it.
I would say that I'm surprised about this, but after working at Nexon and seeing this guy's account where he spent about $100,000 on MapleStory. Good. I mean, if anyone doesn't even know what and this was not like this wasn't 10 years ago. I worked for them now only 2015, so 4 years ago. So go if you don't know what MapleStory looks like, go look it. Go YouTube what that game looks like, and just imagine why would you spend $100,000 on that?
Well, look, to make you feel even worse, they have MapleStory 2, which I think doesn't have any other content from Part 1. So think about all that money he spent.
And that was the worst part.
It's being phased out now compared to Part 2.
Jeez.
Do you know where you blew most of that money in MapleStory? They would have an item. So let's take it enchanting. So you have a sword and you want to take it from blue rare to purple epic, okay? In almost any other game, you just get the mats together, you make it, bam, it's an epic, right? No. In this one, not only did you have to farm for these super rare items, but then you had the chance, and usually a high chance, to destroy your item completely when you enchanted. The only way to protect it was to buy something else to put like a battle shield on it. Now, if you tried to upgrade, you could still fail, but at least now it would destroy the shield and not your item. So just think, first you have to get the item, you have to get all the mats, then you have to get the shield, then you still have to spend points to try the epic. All that before you even know if it works or not. So that explains, so that you're not even buying something and immediately putting on your character. No, you're wasting money just at a chance to get something. I don't know how people do it, but hey, more power to you.
You know that's the gambling mechanic of it.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's where loot boxes fit. Loot boxes is a kinder version of that, where you spin the reel thinking, I'm going to get something, and you never get what you actually want. You get the trash.
That's true. That's true.
Jesus.
They do it with Apex.
Yep.
With that one heirloom for what's her name? For Wraith. You got a 1 in 500 chance of getting it. So if you spend $500, you're guaranteed to get it.
Guaranteed.
Just keep cranking. We make fun of gamblers, but man, we do it easier with that credit card.
Hey, this is why I say that's where me and my buddy that argued about Trump, and I'm like, remember, here's a failed businessman that made a casino go bankrupt. I said, let that sink in. He made a casino go bankrupt. The freaking one business that you could literally open the door and people will flock in there to spend money.
And worse yet, it's not like he did it when casinos started. He had friends. Like, he's friends with, what was the guy? Win? No, Win is the other guy. I forgot the other guy. Oh, Salesbins or something. He has like 3 or 4 casinos out there. It's like, wouldn't you just ask him what was your, what's your business model? Can I copy you?
It's like, Jesus.
How do you fail at a casino? In Vegas, on the Strip.
That was the thing that I said. I'm like, that's like opening up a crack house and having to shut it down because people didn't come in to smoke crack in your crack house. Like,
what the fuck were you telling
we
me?
did the 5 o'clock free crack giveaway and we still couldn't get anyone in there.
I didn't get anyone in there. We don't know what happened.
We're declaring bankruptcy.
It's like, Jesus.
All right, well, I had other things for clickbait, but we're going to do that on another show since this one ran long. But at least we know what kind of craziest we all can get into now. So
I was about to say, we might want to plan more time ahead.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, bro. But next time, we bought Gina a camera and a microphone.
Oh, this will get even funnier.
I got it. Blah, blah, blah.
Next time Gina joins the show. Yeah. Go ahead, Gina. Hit Ignacio for us one time.
Oh.
Yes. You know what? We're gonna have a thing where
hurry up.
We're gonna have a thing where if you donate bits, Gina will hit Ignacio.
Yeah, you can. As long as we're getting paid, I don't give a fuck what happens.
We'll have Gina just do this.
There.
Whack.
Lucky Tuck. Guaranteed. Guaranteed to break.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, we bought another one of these headphones that I'm using. This one's broken. So if you ever see me fixing it, you know why.
That's gonna be.
All right, to everyone that's watching the show, either live or later on our YouTube page or on our audio podcast, thank you very much. We're gonna be back really soon with maybe 3, maybe 4 of us. Either way, it's gonna be crazy as hell. But thanks for watching, listening.
Gina's like, nope. We're gonna get Gina you to smack Ignacio for bits. We'll do it.
Gina's gonna be in it one way or another.
Gina lives here, so yeah, she has to be in it.
We're gonna figure out some way to get something for bits. Gina will either turn around and smack the crap out of Ignacio or something for bits.
Backhands are 5 bits.
Whatever.
Punches are 20 bits.
Backhands are 5 bits. Open palm is 10. 20 for across the face. I mean,
whatever it takes.
All right, guys. Until next time. Peace out.
Peace.
Have fun.
Oh my god, dude. That's awesome.
So that's just a preview for you guys.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, right where Jose started talking, and all we heard was like, "What do you want?"
Oh my god.